I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in Season 3, Episode 14 of The Bad Batch. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check that episode out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, join with me to break down everything from Season 3, Episode 14 of The Bad Batch. It's Jon Jon Rico!
Hello.
Hello!
What's up?
Whew. Man, I mean, I hate to say the same thing every single time, but like, these episodes are so good. They're so much fun, and they're just like,
yeah,
they're paced so well. Like, literally, as soon as this episode finished, I was like, where's the next one? I want more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, this is... They're perfect at what they're doing. They're giving us the exactly what we want, and then ending exactly where they should, leaving us wanting more. So I understand it. I'm just like, damn it, I want another episode right now. As soon as the episode finishes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the first thing I really want to bring up about episode 14. I love that, we got, our two groups, and we kind of just inched this story. I'm almost looking at it as like the hands on a clock. And when it hits midnight is when like all hell's going to break loose. We get the finale. We get everything going crazy at once. And we're just kind of inching seconds closer to that. And this episode was kind of that. It kind of just moved like both parties a little bit closer to that.
Kind of like in the premiere when they had the blood vials doing the thing. And then we were kind of hitting that blood vial hitting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
sure.
that is totally what I felt like this episode did. It just kind of, it inched up to this eventual like clash and the finale, like everything, all the craziness we're gonna get in the finale. I'm assuming the craziness. It's a safe assumption to have. But Rico, what were some of your instant reactions to episode 14?
Yeah, like if you had like this episode, last week's episode, and then of course with next week being the series finale, like these almost feel like a part 1, 2, and 3 essentially. Like last week was like the big mission to kind of kick off the trip to Tantus. Here is like, okay, we arrived to Tantus, but we still haven't really reached like the final destination yet. And then of course now we're gonna kind of reach that with next week's episode, and I really love that. But but this definitely kind of felt like the part 2 where it's just kind of like we're just forwarding what we're eventually going to get to inevitably in the finale. So yeah, to me, the whole episode really flew by, and that's no pun intended, because Hunter was displaying some really great flying skills in this episode too, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, there was a lot of just kind of great stuff with different character storylines. We're following Omega kind of getting in touch with the kids and stuff like that, and then of course we'll talk a little bit more Echo later, but yeah, man, everything's just still setting itself up for just like this big wrap up for the overall story. It's just really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many parts of this episode. Like, I totally agree with you. It felt like it went like that. But there are so many little parts of this episode that I really enjoyed. And you bring up Omega with the other kids in the vault and stuff like that. I love when she's like, they hear the guns and stuff like that. And they go, what's happening? She goes,
they found me. Who? My brothers.
My brothers.
Just my brothers. Yeah.
I was like, oh,
so good. She has like that smile, like, yeah, here we go. Like it's starting. It's all starting. Yeah.
Oh, so like there are just so many like really good like things to appreciate, like little things that happened in this episode that I really enjoyed, and it's just a lot of fun.
And it wasn't like the typical what we usually see out of like the penultimate episodes of like normal seasons, because normally those seasons build up to something, and then the finale they kind of leave us hanging for something that's set up in the next season. But this next episode is the wrap up. So it's like we're just gonna set the final little stages for the kind of little baby steps to get us where we need to go into the finale, and then the finale is really going to be where we ramp things up. So yeah, I'm really excited for what's about to come.
Same. You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to bring up big takeaways because kind of it goes exactly with what I was saying, when we were getting into the episode in general. And it's something that you brought up. And I can't remember if it was last episode or if it was the episode before where you brought this up. And it's just, I love like feeling that tense and suspense feel in this episode. Because we had not only the Bad Batch crew, basically it starts off exactly where the last episode left off.
Oh yeah.
With them kind of coming out of, not even coming out of hyperspace, like them still there and talking about, hey, they're going to be able to detect us as soon as we get there. So, them kind of formulating the plan with the Bad Batch and everything like that as they're still like arriving and stuff like that.
Yeah. Leaving Echo on the other ship. Yeah.
Right. And so we have like, basically we're following three parties if you count Echo as his own party too. And so we have suspense in all three groups. Like, we have the suspense of them, having to detach and not be detected, which, it wouldn't be a Bad Batch entry plan if they didn't, make their presence known almost immediately. They're not a sneaky group.
No, stealth is not their forte.
Exactly. But I loved when we had, Omega crawling through the I guess the walls, the ducts and everything like that. It almost felt like, and I swear, because I'm listening to the music now that you were always pointing it out. I swear it sounded almost like they were incorporating the theme to the original Mission Impossible. Because it felt like that elevator scene from the original Mission Impossible, like type of thing. And so every once in a while I was like, is that the actual theme? Like, it just felt like they kind of, they still made it the Star Wars, like, Bad Batch themes, but like, it just, I was getting vibes from Mission Impossible themes in that scene. But I really had to appreciate it. I know you've brought it up in the past, kind of comparing it to, like Andor, where we get a lot of suspense and stuff like that. And just other Star Wars projects in general where we get kind of that, where there's different plans set in motion and, they could get caught at any moment and you don't know if they're going to, get caught or not.
Right.
So I loved that about this episode because we got it not only in one kind of group that we're following, we got it in all three. So it was just like different sets of suspense throughout the entire episode. So I thought it was really cool. But Rico, what were some of your takeaways from episode 14?
So one of the things I really liked the most about this episode for how quickly it moved along, there was still some really cool stuff, but the stuff I really loved the most was actually watching Echo's whole infiltration of the Tantus base, and one, just seeing him like going from taking on the TK armor, and then when he takes out that droid and you kind of really like, I can just use this guy's hand, and he finally he goes, hey, we can see Echo with two hands again, and then
thanks to the hand.
Yeah, for real. And I really like that. And he just takes it off whenever he needs to jack it into any kind of component or whatever. So that was really fun. But it also ultimately leads up to a really great moment where he's ultimately made by Emery in Tantus base. Like pretty much immediately she notices the hand. She's like, "Oh, Echo, hey, what's up?" And like, Omega's told me about you. And then he's just like, "Oh, okay. So we've heard about you as well." And they kind of have like this really cool back and forth interaction. It's actually a really cool interaction that kind of dives a little bit into more about what Emery's character motivations are, because Echo kind of gives her a little bit of shit, like, yeah, you kind of helped out with all the experimentations, like, we're getting everyone out here, like, how could you? You're a clone. And she kind of just she does the whole good, like, her version of good soldiers follow orders, kind of like what Crosshair was doing back then. I was just doing my job. And that also kind of plays into if I wonder if she still just has like Stockholm syndrome, like she's actually a victim herself, but she's just kind of like trained her mind into thinking that she's supposed to be there. So yeah, I really like that interaction. And we're talking about like the three different storylines. Like Echo is really like the bridge between both storylines now, because now that he's made contact with Emery, they can kind of work together and help free Omega and the kids. So I think that's going to be a really interesting duo right there inside Tantus, while the rest of the Bad Batch is dealing with the Dryax outside and stuff like that. So there's some pretty it's gonna be interesting stuff just to watch unfold in the finale. And also it looked like he was like, every single time he would hook into a computer, like he's looking at like it's obviously an Arabesh and stuff like that, so we can't see it with our notice what it says with our eyes. But I imagine it's a way for him to send coordinates out maybe to other clones, so that like that like that's pretty crucial information that he can only log into himself. Yeah, so that's also a pretty cool like implication of like him playing a role in this story as well.
Yeah, very. I didn't even think of that because I know the only one that stuck out in my mind was when he was trying to find, like, he got directions on one of them when he was actually
Yeah.
inside the Tantus base. But yeah, I did not think of that because we were talking about that eventually, that we wanted to see kind of like an end game scenario where we get or like Return of the Jedi where we kind of get like everybody come in type of thing. And yeah, that could totally be what he was doing because. Yeah, he logged in as many different terminals as he could. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much anytime he saw like a unit to plug into, he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go just see what's in here." And I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk lately, so I'm like, I've been doing the same thing. So I'm like, just checking in here and just get the information. It's like it's all really cool stuff to me.
Well, yeah. You want to get to some predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions?
Okay, well, man, next week is the end all be all here of the whole Bad Batch story, which is it's kind of bittersweet. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing like how they wrap it all up, but at the same time, like I'm not ready to say goodbye to these clones yet. But yeah, so we got stuff like who is the Shadow Out clone? Like, well, how is he going to factor into the finale story? Of course, like is Rex, Gregor, Wolf, and all those guys going to come in and help save the day if thanks to Echo. But we got something really interesting in this episode. While Omega was crawling through the walls, she happened to see a real room where they're messing around with the freaking Zillo Beast, which again is a great callback to I think season 2, when they had the Zillo back from Clone Wars. And the Zillo Beast himself is a very powerful creature, and just within Star Wars lore, and something that goes all the way back to Clone Wars. He's basically like the Godzilla, I feel like, of Star Wars, like with how much havoc he's wreaked throughout the years, or he or she, I guess. But the fact that it's like the last living one. But I wonder is like if Omega saw that and like she's gonna like are we gonna get a little one up of like Boba Fett in Book of Boba Fett riding the Rancor, and she's gonna hop on top of like a fucking Zillo Beast, and because they talk about how dangerous that jungle is out there, and what more dangerous could be than a Zillo Beast out there in the jungle just causing havoc on Tantus. So yeah, I think that's there. I think that's going to be a big factor in what's going to happen in the finale.
I'm wondering, and when I saw that, I was thinking the same thing. I'm wondering if this is when we're going to get the reveal of Omega being able to use Force abilities, because it would be very similar to when she was trying to do the tests.
Yeah,
while at Pabu, like type of thing. So like, what if she's successful, like able to do that type of thing, and just
her
like
Force ability could be just communicating with nature or animals and stuff like that. Yeah, we've seen it before for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, just like you, I have so many questions going into the finale. I cannot wait for next week. But just sticking in episode, we had a really quick moment. Obviously, Rampart, was running from a beast at the point in the jungle, but he gets captured, and he just kind of looks up and goes, "Oh shit!" Like, you know what I mean? So I'm really curious, like, is that going to factor into something? Is Rampart going to try to double cross the Bad Batch and be like, look, don't lock me up and I'll tell you what they're like, where they are, what they're doing, who's here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that what's going to happen? Or is he going to be like, I know the Empire doesn't give a shit about me anymore, so I'm not going to say anything and just wait to see what happens. So I'm really curious about that. I mean, just because it's a new question. I mean, we've been wondering about the Shadow Op like ID for a while. We're wondering, about a lot of things, like what plan is actually going to work towards the end of here, who's going to make it out, like after when the dust clears, like there's so many big questions, like series big questions, that this one was just like a question that came up like as I was actually watching this episode. I was like, oh shit, what is Rampart going to do now? Like,
yeah. I think the interaction between him and Crosshairs was a pretty important one, because one, it also kind of lets us know like the motivation between Crosshairs too. It talks about how he couldn't leave Omega and stuff like that, and also like him not wanting to go back there in general. It's just a big part of his character arc at all. Sorry, excuse me. But yeah, I think that like if he sees Crosshair like being able to do this stuff and like seeing what he was done in the past, I think maybe like if Crosshair saves Rampart, I guess with this, this creature and stuff like that too, like it could be that whole like earning their trust kind of a thing. We've seen it before in Rebels with Callus, I think his name was, and when he had this whole interaction with Zeb during the show, and he actually became like an Empire member turned into a rebel. So it'd be kind of cool if we kind of saw some kind of like redemption for Rampart as well, especially considering he was a major villain too. But they could also do the same thing where he tries to sell them out because he sees a way to stay safe as well. Like he's a character that can definitely go either way with for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen for the finale? Like when the dust settles, what plan's going to work? What's going to happen? Who's going to ride off into the sunset? Are we ever going to get the, to figure out who the Shadow Ops person is? Like, there's so many questions left unanswered. We have one episode left to hear and see everything. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.